Well, a very good afternoon from Phuket, and I hope everybody is well. Today is the 30th of April, Thursday the 30th of April. Got some updates to bring you today. As you can see, I've come outside. I'm actually over where I was the other day at the lagoon area where I bring Shadow a few times a day for walking. Let's start off with the numbers as I normally do. I'm only going to do today's numbers because it's only been a couple of days since I did my last video, and the reason why I'm doing this video today is because of the announcements that have just come across the TV, which I'm going to let you know about in a moment. So the numbers for today: we've had 7 new cases. 3 of those cases have been right here in Phuket. Total number of cases now in Thailand stands at 2,954, and we have had no deaths today, which is great, and the total of deaths currently stands at 54. I will mention just one thing from yesterday, that Phuket didn't have any new cases reported yesterday, which was great for Phuket. Now, moving on to the announcements, we have had, of course, today on the TV on Channel 2, all the announcements as regarding moving forward for the next month. Some of the restrictions, as you will be aware, are going to be eased, which I'm glad to say. First of all, I'm going to start off with the restrictions here in Phuket as regards the movements. As from midnight tonight, the districts, or tambons as they call them over here in Thailand, are going to be opened up, apart from 5 areas here in Phuket which the restrictions will remain in, and I will list those 5 areas in the description because I want to double check which areas, because some of the areas are the actual whole area is not being restricted, just parts of the area. So I want to double check on that and get the full correct listing, so I will list all that down in the description, so go and check that out if you're interested. But as regards the districts outside of the 5 that I will list down below, they are going to be removed after today, midnight today, well, tonight should I say, midnight tonight. So moving on from tomorrow, we should be able to move around the island a little bit more freely. However, the restriction as regards Saracen Bridge remains in place, so they're trying to stop people from moving on and off the island too much. The airport is also currently remaining closed. I have read an article this morning to say that the airport won't be opening before the 15th of May. They're going to relook at the situation as it goes week to week, and that applies to most of the things that I'm going to discuss today. The announcements are regarding businesses that can open, the categories which they're starting off with, which is what they call the white group, which will start from the 3rd of May. All businesses will be expected to do thorough cleaning before and after. Before opening the business and once you close the business, they will expect you to do thorough cleaning of the business. All customers of any businesses will be expected to wear masks. Of course, social distancing will apply with at least 1 metre space in the business area, and there will be a maximum number of customers that you need to set in your business to obviously stay within the rules that are currently in place. So not large numbers in the business. Ourselves, we're going to restrict our business to just 1 customer at a time for not only our safety but of course the customer safety as well. But other businesses do have a little bit of flexibility, but they don't want large numbers gathering together. So let's move on to which businesses can actually open on the 3rd of May. Now, this is primarily for the first 14 days, which they're going to re-evaluate. So of course, if we suddenly see a surge in numbers within the first 14 days, then they may well change the allowances and ask businesses to close back down. So we've got to keep our fingers crossed, and it's very important that we obviously put these safety precautions in place so that we don't cause any spikes in numbers, because this will only put us back and the government may then impose more restrictions. So the white group is the first group that's going to be allowed to open up. There are 4 groups in totals, but we're dealing with the white group today. For the first 14 days, after the first 14 days, if everything's going well, They will then add another group to that group of businesses, and that will be the second stage. But for the first stage, markets, which is food markets and all markets, floating markets, normal markets, are going to be allowed to open up from the 3rd of May. But of course, as I've said, they've got to abide by the rules set down by the government as regards cleaning, wearing masks, social distancing, etc. So markets are going to be allowed to open up. Also restaurants, local restaurants, not in shopping malls, because currently shopping malls are not going to be allowed to open at this moment in time. Maybe further into the month, or could be the start of next month before shopping malls are going to be allowed to open. So all local restaurants that are going to be allowed to open. But of course, if you're going to have customers eating in, dining in, then there has to be social distancing between the tables and customers, so those have to be abided by. So restaurants are going to be allowed to open. Local shops are going to be able to open, so normal shops on the streets, sois, they're going to be allowed to open back up now. The mom and pop shops, the grocery shops, etc, etc, they are all going to be allowed to open up. It's only shopping malls that are staying closed for the time being. There are some recreation areas. There's been no mention about the beaches. As far as I'm aware, the beaches are going to remain closed, but there are some recreation areas that are going to be allowed to open up, such as parks, which is great for us because of course we have shadow, so we're going to be able to take it back down to the parks. But again, everybody has to observe the social distancing, and also some small activities such as tennis courts and things like that will be allowed to open up again. However, they have stressed that no large gatherings, so no football matches, etc, at this time are going to be allowed. It's only very small activities that are going to be allowed to take place. Also, the other businesses that are going to be allowed to open up is salons and barber shops. So that's great for us. However, we do have some restrictions that we have to meet as regards the services that we can offer our customers. So we have to meet those, and of course we have to abide by all the rules set in place by the government as regards cleaning customers in the actual business, the maximum number, distancing between customers. As I've mentioned, we shall only allow one customer in at a time, both for our safety and the customer's safety, that is. Even though we could possibly have 2 customers in, because our shop has the room to allow for the distancing, we just prefer to stick to 1 customer. So salons and barber shops, which is great news for us, are going to be allowed to start to open up. We can't offer all the services that we normally do. We have to offer a limited amount of services, but something is better than nothing, so I'm not complaining on that. So I'm really pleased about that. And the last section of businesses is pet grooming. They are also going to be allowed to open up, and this will run from the 3rd of May, or start from the 3rd of May. Obviously, if there's any increase in the numbers, they may change this, but at the moment that's how it stands. And then after the 14 days, providing the numbers stay in single digits like we are now, they will then move into the second stage and open more and more businesses. So let's hope the numbers stay down low so that we can get a little bit more normality in our lives back. I'm really pleased that they've started to ease the restrictions. Of course, I'm not expecting them to take everything out all in one go, because that's not going to help and that's not going to be good with the spread, etc. But it's a start, so I'm glad to report that. I've literally just watched Channel 2 and then come to do the filming of the video, because I want to let people know what's going on. So there is some normality coming back to Thailand slowly. It's a very slow and tentative step, but it is a start, which I'm really pleased about. As I say, the districts are going to be opening up here in Phuket. Not all, but most will be open, so we can move around. So if we need to go to the supermarket, etc., we can go to those. So that's a great start. Well, I'm going to keep it nice and short for today, because I've already done a video a few days ago, and those are the main things that I wanted to bring to you. I will mention that currently alcohol is still banned here. They have extended that. Basically, they've put in place an order for all the orders that are currently in place to be extended until otherwise notified. So everything that was in place before has been extended, such as the alcohol bans, the curfews, the nightly curfews, things like that will stay in place. You can't really move from province to province unless you have extremely good reasons, and you need to get a letter from your local government to be able to go across into another province. If you was going outside of Phuket into Phang Nga or Ranong or somewhere like that, you would need a letter from the local government, and you would also need a very good reason for going out of the island. So those measures are staying in place for the time being. As I mentioned, no sign of the airport opening up yet. However, some internal flights are going to be operating as from next week. So again, a slow ease on restrictions, which is great news. I just want to double check that I've mentioned everything. Yeah, I've mentioned that the alcohol ban unfortunately is staying in place, and I think that's about everything. So I hope everybody out there is well. I hope everybody is getting some good news as regards numbers and measures that may be easing in your own country. I would like to thank everybody for all the comments. I do read every comment, but I don't always have time to reply to all the comments. As I've said, I've done some this morning, but I've also had to keep an eye on the TV, and then I'm doing filming as well. So please do bear with me with that. But I'd like to thank everybody for all the comments. Some great comments now coming across the channel, so really, really pleased about that. Well, as always, stay safe, take care, and until next time, I will catch you on the next one.